Everywhere you go, you take yourself with you. You're looking for an escape instead of actually looking inside yourself. You can't escape your problems, you know that, right? Oh, really? Have you ever been told any of these? I have, at least 100 times. When some places inspire you instantly and make you feel like you belong there, other places mentally drain you without any obvious reason. And that was exactly the case for me in the previous city I lived in until I decided to say enough and do something about it despite all the fear. And believe me, there was a lot of fear and insecurity. And on top of that, I was all alone with no one to support me. So this is me on the day of moving out of my dream skyscraper apartment in Frankfurt, asking myself, what the hell am I doing? And why can't I just live a normal life instead of chasing those constant big ideas, big visions, big dreams, and so on and so on and so on. And this is me now, living in Munich, the city I moved to 1.5 years ago from Frankfurt. Not even looking back.
You know what's the funniest thing is? When I was living in Frankfurt, my only focus was that apartment, as if nothing else existed. But my mental state, it was exactly like on that photo of the day of my move. So get ready for a powerful video about moving from the fear of unknown, loneliness and discomfort to living my best life, finding inner peace and achieving the best mental and physical state of my life. Let's go! You can't even imagine how much I was shaken when I said yes to my apartment in Munich while still living in Frankfurt. And now it might sound ridiculous, but I was crying almost every single day because of that sudden daily discomfort and knowing that I had to leave my dream skyscraper apartment.
But here's the thing, despite those times being super challenging and dark, deep inside you know that the change will make a positive impact on your life. Pause this video now and remember moments when you thought you were making a mistake because the transition was so difficult, but once you overcame it, you thought, thank God I did this. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something complex like a move, for instance. It can be small things like, I don't know, speaking to a person you liked first. The challenging part there was overcoming the fear of rejection, the initial one, and stepping out of your comfort zone by talking to the person. Or a super banal example, going to the gym, suffering for the first couple of months without seeing any progress, and then bam, suddenly you see it. And my favorite quote when it comes to challenges is, if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Why didn't I think on my own advice when I saw that attractive guy in my gym? Okay, we exchanged a few glances, but when we were working out just a meter apart, I put on my poker face and pretended I wasn't interested. Bravo, Ina, bravo. So you might think twice who you're listening to here on YouTube. Okay, it's time to get serious. But seriously, if you're that guy, please DM me or call me. You know, the best indicator whether you live where you're supposed to, pay attention to your emotions next time when you return from a trip. Is it more like, yeah, the trip was awesome, I truly enjoyed my time there, but honestly, I'm so glad to be back home? Or is it more like, damn, I wish I stayed there longer? Of course, there might be an exception for beach vacations, for instance, because let's be honest, a lot of people like to be by the sea, but it doesn't mean that they hate their home, right? But on the other hand, if that place truly inspires you way beyond just relaxation, then you might consider moving there. Not me thinking on the south of France, my dream place. Every time I'm there, I feel like I belong. I want to wake up early, I want to paint a lot, I want to tell stories with my art, I want to soak up every single detail of those surroundings. So see, that's a good indicator.
The old me living in my other apartment in Frankfurt had a completely different appearance, and I don't mean clothes. The smile always felt forced, I didn't really take care of myself, barely did any sport, never wore makeup, and dressed super randomly. But the apartment, on the other hand, was the center of my universe. And just take a look at my Instagram stories and the daily love letters to a building. I wish I had put that love into myself, to be honest, instead of a piece of concrete or whatever that building was made of.
Okay, I have to draw a parallel between this and relationships. It actually reminds me of Samantha telling Carrie something like, the test of a good relationship is whether you're like this. It was supposed to be a sad emoji. Or like this. Happy emoji. So ask yourself which camp you belong to. And it's actually the very first video where I mentioned relationships, and it's kind of fun, I think. It definitely gives perfect examples, especially for our today's topic.
Run with the heart, run through the hills, deep in the place where secrets revealed, a feeling home, a feeling home.
Okay, it's time to raise our virtual hands because these are the most common questions we tend to ask when facing a radical change. I'm not a saint either, and these were exactly the questions I asked. But the truth is, people give advice based on their own lives, and if a person prefers comfort and avoids any sort of discomfort, their advice will reflect that.
Here is something to consider. Before asking someone for their advice, ask yourself first whether you'd like to have the life this person has. If the answer is, hell yes, I like their life, well then go ahead, and their advice will help you enormously. But if the answer is, no way, well then you already know what to do. Or better yet, what not to do.
If you were to take away just one thing from this video, let it be this. No matter what happens to you, what regrets or situations you face, you have yourself. And if you take that risk, move or do something similar, and eventually you don't like it, then it's still going to be okay because you tried, you did it, you know what's on the other side, and it's time to move on. And next time when you decide to do something similar, when you decide to move again, or whatever, then it wouldn't be as challenging as it might seem at the moment, because our brain tends to fear the unknown, right? And I think here's the really good thing about challenging times. You're capable of truly extraordinary things. And once again, no matter what happens to you, you have yourself. If you don't mind, I'd like to finish this video with my recent sketch of Munich, the city that inspired this video. I illustrated some of my favorite spots here that I love to visit often. The app is called Procreate, by the way, and I draw on my iPad. So the drawing process follows, and I'll see you in the next video.